The knife slid into the turkey's breast with a wet, surrendering sound. Mom beamed, Dad raised his glass. Cousins chattered, children shrieked. Emily sat at the opposite end of the table like a queen on a stolen throne, her highlighted hair catching the chandelier light. Her hairdresser charged $300 to perfect. She waited until Dad finished his annual prayer. Same one every year, voice cracking on "bless this food and the hands that prepared it," before she leaned forward, elbows on the white linen, and smiled the smile that always got her out of trouble when we were kids. "Mom and Dad have something wonderful to share," she said, voice honeyed, loud enough for every ear. "They're signing the house over to me and Justin next week. Deed and all. So the kids can grow up in the only real home we've ever known." She let it hang there, glittering. Then she looked straight at me. "You get nothing, Sarah. They decided it's time you learned to stand on your own." The room didn't gasp. It inhaled and held it. Silverware froze halfway to mouths. My nephew Connor's mouth hung open, mashed potatoes sliding off his fork. Mom's eyes flicked to her plate. Dad cleared his throat like he was choking on a bone. I felt the words hit my sternum first. Physical, a fist wrapped in velvet. Then the heat crawled up my neck, into my cheeks, behind my eyes. Humiliation so pure it tasted metallic. I laughed once, short and ugly. "You're joking." Emily's smile widened, sympathetic, pitying. "No, sweetie. Done. The lawyer's drafting the paperwork Monday." Dad finally spoke, voice paper-thin. "Sarah, you've always been independent. Emily has the children. The house needs children," I finished for him. The word tasted like rust. I stood so fast the chair legs screamed against the hardwood. Mom refinished herself 30 years ago. My wine glass tipped, red bleeding across the tablecloth like a crime scene. Nobody moved to blot it. I walked out without another word. The screen door slammed behind me hard enough to rattle the windows. November air slapped my face, cold and righteous. In the car I screamed until my throat shredded, punched the steering wheel until my knuckles split. Then I sat in the dark, engine ticking as it cooled, and felt something inside me calcify. They were still inside, probably already apologizing for my scene. Emily dabbing her eyes theatrically, saying, "She'll calm down, she always does." Mom murmuring that I was too sensitive. Dad pouring another scotch, muttering about ungrateful daughters. I drove home, to the house that was apparently no longer mine anymore, with the radio off, windows down, letting the cold scour my skin. The house smelled like them when I let myself in. Dad's Old Spice, Mom's lavender sachets, the ghost of thousands of dinners cooked in that kitchen. I walked through the rooms like a stranger taking inventory. My childhood bedroom still had the same faded floral wallpaper. The attic still creaked in the same places. The back porch swing still groaned when you sat in it wrong. Every inch of this place had my fingerprints, my sweat, my forfeited dreams baked into the walls. I had moved back 8 years ago when Dad's first stroke left him half paralyzed down the left side. Quit my job in the city, left the man who wanted to marry me, told myself it was temporary. Emily sent flowers and cards from California. "You're such a saint, Sarah." Then went back to her perfect life, her venture capitalist husband, her Instagram-perfect children. I was the one who learned how to empty catheter bags at 3 a.m. I was the one who pureed Dad's food when he couldn't chew. I was the one who held Mom while she cried because she couldn't remember where she put her glasses for the 10th time that day. And now the house was Emily's. I slept maybe 2 hours that night. Kept seeing her face. Smug, radiant, victorious. At dawn I made coffee in the same pot I'd bought them for their 40th anniversary. Sat at the kitchen table where I'd done homework, paid their bills, planned my non-existent future. Opened my laptop. First I cried again. Then I started searching. Contest lifetime gift deed undue influence. Signs of financial elder abuse. Record conversations without consent, state name. One-party consent, good. Average cost, private investigator. By noon I had a legal pad covered in frantic handwriting. By nightfall I had a plan forming, embryonic but vicious. I would not let this go. I would make her bleed for it. But quietly. The next weeks were a masterclass in restraint. I smiled at Thanksgiving Part 2, the awkward, let's pretend nothing happened brunch Emily hosted. I brought homemade cinnamon rolls. I let Mom hug me too tight and whisper, "We only want you to be happy, honey." I let Dad pat my hand like I was a dog that might bite. I moved through their world like a ghost learning the architecture of its own grave. Emily glowed. She talked about updates she wanted to make, open concept obviously, and how the kids needed their own space. Justin clapped Dad on the back and said, "We'll take good care of it, sir." As if it were already theirs. I watched Mom's face when Emily said she'd paint over the mural I'd helped her stencil in the hallway 20 years ago. Hearts and ivy, our initials hidden in the leaves. Mom's mouth trembled, but she said nothing. I started recording everything. Phone calls with Mom where she sounded confused about why I was so upset. Emily's visits. Always when I was at the grocery store. Always lasting exactly 47 minutes. I installed a cheap Wi-Fi camera in the hallway smoke detector. Learned how to clone Dad's phone to mine. Read their emails like bedtime stories. The picture that emerged was worse than I imagined. Emily hadn't just asked. She'd campaigned. Email to Mom March. "I'm worried Sarah's resentment is affecting Dad's blood pressure. She snapped at him last week when he spilled his pills again." There was no snapping. I'd cried in the bathroom after. Another May. "Justin and I can afford to hire full-time care so you and Dad can travel like you always wanted. Sarah would never let you leave her. I had begged them to take a cruise last year. They said they were too old." September. "Sarah mentioned putting you in Brookdale when I was home last. I told her absolutely not, but she's angry I disagreed. I had never said any such thing. Ever. She had been poisoning them against me for months. Years maybe, slow drip, patient, surgical. And the final blow, 2 weeks before Thanksgiving. Mom, Dad, I need to be honest. Sarah's been taking money from your accounts. Small amounts, but it adds up. Found the statements. I didn't want to tell you, but I'm scared what she'll do when you're gone." Attached. Forged bank statements showing withdrawals I never made. That was the moment the rage turned cold. I printed everything. Organized it into folders. Color-coded tabs like a serial killer. I hired a private investigator with the last of my savings. Retired cop named Marco who didn't ask too many questions when I paid cash. He followed Emily for 3 weeks. The report came back on a gray December morning. Emily was fucking the lawyer drafting the deed. Not just any lawyer. Mark Whitmore. The same Mark Whitmore who took me to prom senior year. Who I lost my virginity to in the back of his dad's Buick. Who told me he loved me under the bleachers and then dumped me 2 weeks later because Emily smiled at him in the hallway. 17 years later and she was still taking what was mine. Marco's photos were clinical, merciless. Emily leaving Mark's office flushed and laughing. His hand on the small of her back guiding her into the Hilton downtown. Her car parked outside his lake house at 2 a.m. There was even audio. Marco got it by bugging Mark's trash, don't ask, from inside the office. Emily's voice breathy. "Once the deed's signed, we can finally be together. Justin doesn't suspect a thing. Mark, your sister's going to lose her mind." Emily laughing. "Let her. She's had everything handed to her our whole lives. Time she learned what it feels like to have nothing." I read the transcript 6 times. Then I threw up in the kitchen sink. I spent the day baking. Mom's recipes, the ones Emily always claimed were too fattening, but devoured anyway. Sugar cookies cut into stars, pecan tosses, bourbon balls. The house smelled like every good memory we ever had. Emily arrived fashionably late, cheeks pink from the cold, arms full of presents for everyone except me. Justin carried in a massive ham like he belonged here. The kids ran wild, screaming about Santa. I waited until after dinner. Waited until the gifts were opened, the kids sugar crashing on the couch, Dad dozing in his recliner, Mom tipsy on 2 glasses of sherry. Waited until Emily stood in the kitchen doorway holding her phone, texting. Probably Mark. smiling that secret smile. I walked up behind her and said quietly, "I know." She startled, turned. "Know what?" "Everything." I held up the envelope. Her face changed, something feral flickering across it before the mask slammed back down. "Sarah, whatever you think." I didn't let her finish. Raised my voice just enough. "Hey everyone. I have a Christmas toast." They shuffled in. Mom wiping her hands on a dish towel, Dad grumbling, Justin already half drunk. The kids stayed in the living room with their new iPads. Gifts from Aunt Emily, of course. I stood at the head of the table where Dad always carved the turkey. Held up my phone. "Press play." Emily's voice filled the room. Tinny but unmistakable. "Once the deed's signed, we can finally be together. Your sister's going to lose her mind. Time she learned what it feels like to have nothing." Then Mark's voice laughing. "God, you're ruthless. I love it." Silence so complete I could hear Dad's oxygen concentrator humming in the background. Emily went white. That's illegal. You can't." "Actually," I said, "it's completely legal in this state. One-party consent. Ask your lover. He's the lawyer." Mom made a sound like a wounded animal. Justin looked like I'd punched him in the throat. I wasn't done. I laid the folders on the table like evidence in court. Bank records, real ones, showing no theft by me, only deposits. Thousands of dollars I'd put in over the years to cover their meds, their property taxes when Dad's pension fell short. Emails. Emily's campaign of lies, printed in full color. The private investigator's report. Photos. More audio. Everything. Emily tried to lunge for the papers. Justin caught her wrist hard. "Is this true?" His voice cracked. She started crying. The pretty practiced tears. "She's twisting it. I was protecting you all." Dad spoke for the first time, voice shaking. "You told us Sarah was stealing. You showed us those statements." "They were fake," I said gently. "She forged them. Just like she forged your love, apparently." Mom was sobbing now, doubled over like someone had kicked her. I looked at Emily, really looked at her. The sister I used to braid hair with, share secrets with, defend from bullies. The woman who had systematically dismantled my life for a house. "You wanted me to have nothing," I said. "Congratulations. Now you do." I turned to Mom and Dad. "I'm calling Mr. Lang at the title company tomorrow," I said. "The transfer won't go through. Undue influence, lack of capacity, conflict of interest with the drafting attorney. Pick one. Or all three. And then I'm filing elder abuse charges. Financial and emotional." Emily screamed, actually screamed. "You bitch. You've always been jealous." Justin slapped her. Not hard, but sharp enough to shock her silent. "Get out of this house," he said. "Right now." She looked at me with pure hatred. "This isn't over." "Oh, it is," I said. "Mark's married, by the way. His wife got the same envelope this morning. Merry Christmas." She left that night. Took the kids, left the presents, left Justin sitting on the porch steps staring at nothing. The deed was never signed. Mom and Dad changed the locks the next week. Added me to the title instead, both our names equal shares the way it should have been all along. Emily's marriage imploded by New Year's. Justin took the kids and filed for custody, citing her moral turpitude. Mark's wife took half his practice and his lake house. Last I heard, Emily was living in a one-bedroom apartment over a dry cleaner's, working retail. She sends me letters sometimes. Handwritten. Pleading. Accusing. Threatening. I don't open them anymore. I burn them in the fireplace, Mom, and I used to roast marshmallows in when we were kids. The house is mine now, in every way that matters. But some nights I walk the halls and hear echoes. Not ghosts, just memories. Mom's laugh in the kitchen. Dad humming off-key while fixing the porch swing. Emily and me at 12, whispering about boys under the covers with a flashlight. I won. And the victory tastes like ash. Because the worst part, the part I'll never say out loud, is that Emily was right about one thing. I am ruthless now. He taught me how. And the house is quiet. Too quiet. I sit on the back porch swing some evenings, the one that still groans in the same place, and wonder if having everything I fought for was worth becoming the thing I hated most. The cold doesn't feel righteous anymore. Just feels cold.